examples. So start from the ground up. Motivate your students. A lot of the students don't like writing. They hear the word writing and they shudder. So motivate them. Hey, you can do this. You know, it's not so difficult. I'm here to help you. Let them try, let them with their feet. Implement practice, scaffolding, use scaffolds. Not everybody can sit there and write a story. Some students need probes, they need ideas, they need how to move from step 1 to step 2. Encourage them to write what they know. There's no point in forcing a kid to write something about a supermarket if they've never stepped foot in a supermarket, or to write a dialogue or create a story about, I don't know, Winnie the Pooh at Luna Park in Israel, if they've never been to a Luna Park in Israel. Okay, let them collaborate, let them talk to each other, let them work together where feasible. Now, with this issue of collaboration, we should take into account that we should model the appropriate behavior that we want them to use when they collaborate. One of the things that we heard in the room in the main session was sometimes the noise level becomes really high. Our classes in special ed, first of all, usually not so filled with 42 students. But even if you have 20 of them, they still need to learn what is appropriate levels of talking, and then they need to practice it, not just throw them into the activity and say, okay, guys, you're gonna do this, be quiet. It's not gonna work for them. Refer to the 3 pillars of writing. Britt, elaborate.
Okay, so do you guys know what the 3 pillars of writing are?
If not, just say it either way.
Okay. What are they? What do you think they are?
I don't know what they are.
I didn't hear what he said.
He doesn't know what they are.
Okay.
I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry, Britt.
What are the 3 pillars of writing? How do we begin writing? How do we help them write? Okay, so the 3 pillars of writing are basically teaching them the basic vocabulary to begin with. Okay, giving them the idea. Okay, I want you to write about this, and the structure, how we want them to write it. Okay, so the vocabulary, the structure, and the construction of how we want them to write it. This needs to help them actually gain the motivation and know where to start from. And then we want to incorporate games. Why do we want to incorporate games? Because it just makes it more fun and they understand better. Okay, let's continue, Rebecca, because we only have 12 minutes. Okay.
All right, this is a sample that Britt did.
Let me just begin by saying I taught teamwork this year. I taught special ed class, ASD class. And we took unit 4, which is all about the Earth, planet Earth. And they each had to, I read a story to them, a short story, a children's book. And their final assessment was, now it's your turn. Write a story or draw a story or do what you can. And that's your differentiated assessments, as long as they follow the structure and they use the vocabulary used from the units. That
what class was this?
Sorry?
What class? What class?
Grade 7 ASD. Okay? Small ASD class.
Autism.
ASD?
Autism. Okay,
Wow.
should I play it?
Yeah, just play it so they can see. You can see that the sentences are pretty short. Okay, they don't have to use many words. It's a children's book. His artwork is as much as he can do.
Can you move the cursor, please? Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And those of you who I'm coming to your schools are going to literally see the books. I collected all the books from them, so I'll bring them for you guys to see and to grade, to assess in a way. So it's all about how he went with his family out to the forest and there was a bushfire and what we as humans can do in order to reduce bushfires and how we can save the planet. Okay.
Amazing.
Now I want you to take this one and compare it to the next one we're going to watch. And tell me which one of them you think is a higher level. They worked in groups, by the way. So some of them drew and some of them wrote.
This is a silent movie.
It's all about cutting trees and how we should plant more and more trees, because trees give us air. Look at the structure, look at the sentences.
Sorry, I had הפסקת חשמל.
Oh, shame,
Oy.
Lichen.
Here
Hi,
we
Lichen.
again.
I think that you can definitely see the differentiated teaching in it. Well, I think it's differentiated teaching. This book's talk, look how he spelled talks, okay? For example, the small things, but it's okay. They tried, they did it. It's an ASD class and they worked in groups. ASD children normally don't work in groups. So that's another part of your assessment that can be in your assessments. You don't only have to look at the written production, but also if you want, they can present it to class. So if you have a student who can't write or can't draw, but he can speak English, then why not only assess him on the spoken language?
Or if you're differentiated, instead of writing this lengthy, huge paragraph, 1 or 2 words is sort of focuses on what's being written. In our
Also,
SIRS classes, a lot of the students can write at least 2 or 3 words to put a really simple sentence together.
I didn't want them to use computers, but if you're a tech person, they can definitely do it on the computer with storyboard that. They don't have to draw or write. Another way to lehangish it to special ed children, to make it accessible. So now it's your turn. You know what, Rebecca, since we only have 10 minutes, maybe let's skip it to how they should do it and then go back to it.
Okay,
So they get the steps at least.
this one, right?
Yeah. Read it.
All right. So if you were a teacher and you were supposed to be doing this lesson, okay, so what should you do? Expose the children to the unit's topic, elaborate and discuss the topic that you're going to use using an association sign, like a diagram, a Venn diagram with start, okay? Teach students the vocabulary from the book at the end of the unit. Now, if you're using, the regular books have about 110 words there. Choose the words that you want, that you think they're going to need in order to execute their task successfully. Read aloud a children's book with a message. For example, Little Red Riding Hood, The Given Tree, or something else. Pinpoint the short sentences, the drawings, and the length. In other words, the illustrations and pictures that match the illustrations. Show the students the cover page and the back page, because at the end of the day, this is one of the things that we want them to do as well. And so that way they can see what needs to be included. 1 second. Ask the students to write a draft and show you. Students must use at least 10 new words. So give them a guide, a structure, and you can include the checklist, not a checklist, a checklist. Once they get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they can check off as they're doing their task. Correct their draft, which is a story, a children's story, 1 sentence per page, which is a maximum of 20 pages. So they already have their parameters. Okay, for the students that could write more than 1 sentence, feel free to write a little bit more. After your corrections, children start writing and drawing. Have them laminate, you can laminate or have them laminate and staple their books together. Peer reading, they can read it to each other. They could even take the book that they read and they could even do like a little reading to younger grades. If you have a 9th grader that's done this, they did this assignment, they can go into the 7th grade and read it to Hakbat Saber or Gimel class. Okay, and students can write book reviews for each other. Okay, that's a little bit higher level, but they can still use different types of activities that allows them to give positive feedback or negative aval. Err on the side of caution. Students need to be taught how to do this. We can't assume, otherwise they'll be cruel to each other, and the purpose of writing a book review is not to be cruel. Instruction for the students. Okay, the students should think of the topic. They should start writing. They should write the name of their story. In the end, it's easier. Okay, it gives them a way. We've always taught them that the titles are connected to main ideas. So if they know what their main idea is going to be about, then maybe it's easier for them to write the title. For other students that are a little bit slower, maybe holding off on the title for that particular student or group of students might be worth it for them at the end, but they know what their product is about. They can read and check if they have their 10 vocabulary words from their list. They can hand in their draft. Now we know that they need to be taught that when they write a story, the first draft is never the correct draft. They have to be taught that they have to use several, maybe write two or three drafts before they get to the finished product. This could also be included as part of their checklist, what we have here. They could start drawing the cover and the back page. And, with our special ed kids, sometimes they forget that English is written from left to right. So we remind them all the time, left to right. I put an arrow on the board that reminds them that it's from left to right. After teacher's correction, they can start writing and drawing. They should have fun and they should be proud of their work. Britt,
Do you guys have any questions so far?
I'm going to stop sharing just for a second.
Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
The first time we do writing with the kids is very scary. Like I said, they hear the word writing, they have a cardiac arrest.
That's why
Mhm.
that's why we start with children. We show them that writing can be one sentence per page, and that's fine, and they can write an entire story where they only wrote 10 sentences, but that's a story. So we start with something very simple. And for those of them who can't write, you can write the story for them. Make them copy the story into different pages and do the drawing. That doesn't mean that they didn't learn. They practiced their writing, they learned the vocabulary, and they had to draw. So you see their understanding. Okay? Think
You
about
need to
continue.
sorry.
Rebecca, no, it's fine.
One of the things that we need to remember with our students, especially the special ed students, that just because you said it doesn't mean that they got it. They need a lot of, first of all, when you give them the instructions have to be super, super clear so that they understand what is expected. There should be I believe that there should be some form of a checklist where they know what they're getting into, sort of an agenda of their story writing activity. They need to remember that it's never going to come out perfect the first time, and it's not going to be perfect the second time, and that's okay. They need scaffolds and they need practice. They need, what do you call that? When the teacher brings them to the table to give feedback, I guess. I don't want to say interviews, not an interview, but they sit together
Yes.
and they talk
Review.
about the reviews. The teacher gives feedback to the student on a one-on-one basis. So that guides the student to do what he or she needs to do. And they have to have patience. Our students, like a lot of us as adults, they're creatures of habit. They want it done quickly. And writing is a process. So they need to know that it's going to take time.
Also,
Okay.
I never give it as homework. This is something you should plan ahead. You need to think like block, for example, 8 sessions, like 8 lessons. This is going to take me about 10 lessons. This 10 lessons I'm not going to teach. They're going to produce. Your students, I don't know how long it's going to take them. For my students, it took 8 lessons. So 8 lessons, I knew now that I'm not teaching, but they are doing. It doesn't matter that I didn't do any frontal teaching. They learned. They had to learn the vocabulary. They learned their sentence structure. We sat down together, like Rebecca said. I gave them feedback after reading with them the drafts. Okay? Everything was done together. Not
8
at
lessons in a row?
home. Not at home.
Say it again. I'm sorry, Ofer.
Not at
8
home.
lessons in a row, or once a week we'll do the writing, and the rest of the lessons something.
It depends on what your goal is. If you know that this is the culminating activity for that session in the book or whatever topic, then it wouldn't be so bad. First of all, I don't think it usually takes 10 sessions. I mean, it depends your class. But I did it in a row because if they walk away from it too long, they forget. And it's writing is the thing that it's out of sight, out of mind for the children because they don't realize the steps that are involved in writing. And we also forget about it too with them. They, you know, if you give them too much time, they lose track of what needs to be done, and then you lose track of who's doing what.
15 seconds.
I'm sorry,
15 seconds you have.
15 seconds. Anybody else has any? Did I answer your question, or did we answer your question? Okay, so it's worth the activity. The activity when it's worth seeing the students with their glowing faces and the finished product. You know, a picture says 1,000 words. Well, those pictures of those kids laughing, they say volumes, speaks volumes.
Lovely.
Anything
Can you
else?
share the presentation with us?
It's gonna be like Judy said, it's gonna be linked into the main
Okay.
slides. Everything is there.
Great, thanks.
You can try it with your teachers also.
And when Judy shares the presentation with you, you have a DIY. You guys can actually try to do this yourselves first. We wrote down the guidelines for you. First, try it on yourself or your grandchildren or, you know,
On
children.
a Parteny lesson,
On
you
a
know,
Parteny,
the
try
classes
it
are
first.
smaller.
But yeah, try it first, see how it works, and then you can make it into bigger groups.
Not only that, you work out the kinks. When you try it out yourself before you give it to the class, you can work out the little kinks that might have appeared that we didn't, you know, like I said, no two groups are alike. Judy says it all the time. So by you trying it out ahead of time allows you to see what's working, what's not working. And I think we have to leave.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't.
It was time for 20 minutes.
I understand, but I didn't.
Very strict.
Like,
Nazi, did you stop
I
recording?
have
yet?
to check out how that happened. As soon as everyone's back, I'm gonna try and figure it out.
It's not so terrible if we have the opportunity to tell it not to close them, then.
It wasn't an option from the beginning.
No, I
But
mean.
Melissa opened the rooms and then
Got
I took over. It might be on Melissa's options. Oh, wait, no, I have
But you
options
could,
here.
like, you could choose
Wait,
to
wait,
keep
wait,
it.
wait, wait, wait. Yeah, I found it.
Press
I
on
found it.
options.
I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it.
You
Okay.
want me to cancel it?
No, I want you not to touch anything.
Okay.
Okay, so while Judy writes the new topics for the new set of breakout rooms, I'd love it if everybody